Heyo everybody, Haku here with my review of this week's Tower of God chapter, chapter 279, 279, which means it's Season 2, Episode 199, and like I said in the live reaction, it's crazy to me that we are almost 200 episodes into the second volume or whatever. Like, it just seems like we have gotten a long way in the second volume. It just sort of, I was expecting us to hit a third one, even though I kind of consider Return of the Prince, Workshop Battle, and Hell Train to all sort of be separate stories, since they're all kind of their own full arcs and they're all separated by small time skips. But yeah, it's just crazy that we've almost hit 200 chapters in volume 2. So maybe something really cool will happen next chapter as the 200th, who knows. But I thought this one was really good. Starting at the beginning, we get Bomb, of course. And, well, before I start off, I'm going to say sorry if the video looks a little bit weird. I lost the light. The sun has already gone down. I lost the light that I wanted for this video. But it hopefully doesn't look too bad or anything. But we start off with Bomb. He's going to the rice pot training alone and saying, you know, I'll catch up with you guys. Which, of course, to me says, you know, they're doing that so he can come in clutch like a big surprise entrance. And that, of course, is how I see it going. If he's going to be like, okay, I'll catch up, then he's just going to randomly show up when they need him in some cool fashion, as a protagonist does. But I'm going to throw out my own little guess and theory here, actually. I think when he shows back up after the rice pot training, I'm going to say maybe he'll have the long hair again. I know SIU said he was planning to bring the long hair back at some point, and maybe the rice pot training just makes him age while he's in there or something. I don't know. But I think it'd be funny if he came back with the long hair. So, I don't know. That's my little prediction, my little guess for this. But the majority of this chapter was spent on the confrontation, which led into a fight between Ron and Hesse. And when we get into it, we pretty much start off with Ron attacking Hesse. And Hesse tanks it because he is apparently the dirt man. He is just made of dirt, apparently. Which I think is a really cool design, and the art for the reveal of it was really cool. The art throughout this chapter was really, really nice. But I thought that Hesse's design is really unique and creative. So I liked that part of things, his ability to sort of just tank hits because he's made of dirt. It was really cool, this chapter. Now we find out that Hesse has taken 9 powerful names, but of those names he doesn't have any of the names of anyone from the 10 families, and that's why he's so adamant to go after Ron. It's funny, we find out Jaja is so cute this chapter, and I just love her overall. She's adorable. Her, Ryun, Albelda, definitely all fighting for top waifu material. But like, that was so funny, and it was funny to see that, like, she's on strike because she isn't getting paid, because that's a really cool throwback to, you know, how, like, when Bomb first met her, she's, like, greedy and wants to be paid for anything and likes money, and I like that they threw back to that personality trait of hers. So Chigrinsky shows up, and he's Hesse's light bearer, and he tells us a bit more about the station, and a bit more, like, he shows us a map of it, which is nice to see how it's laid out, and it's a really cool setting. I really like this setting for... I hope this arc does last a little while, because I think it's a really cool setting, and the way that Chigrinsky sets it up with the information is nice, where we see that there's, say, the... First up, there's the gate that we're at. Then moving on, there's the place where the unnamed stay, which are the people that had their names stolen. Then behind that, there's the place where the named stay. And then behind that, there's the festival field. And the festival field is where Kaiser stays. And we also find out that there's 10 bosses that are the warriors with the most names. And Kaiser is the most powerful of those bosses. And he only shows up at the festival field when the train arrives. So I think that's really cool that he just goes straight for people that were strong enough to be on the train. Like Kaiser just, there's some hype built for him. I think Kaiser's going to be a really cool opponent. Maybe not as cool as Joaquin, but I think he's going to be a cool opponent. Also, I forgot to mention that the station is like, it's the reason it exists and that rule is there is in commemoration of a bet where the 10 great warriors put their names on the line against the against people at the or the natives at the place, which gives me another kind of cool theory. We always hear about the... No, this theory wouldn't make any sense. I was going to say we always hear about the 10 great warriors, but we never heard the name of the last one. What if Kaiser actually won 1,000 years ago and took the name of the 10th great warrior? But no, I highly doubt that, because they wouldn't call them the 10 great families if all 10 didn't make it to the top with Zahard. So, yeah, I think that's kind of a dumb theory. Disregard that. But, I think it's safe to assume that Hesse is the weakest of the 10 bosses. Like, just my personal opinion, the way that he talked, it seemed like all the others had names from the 10 families except for him. He only had the name of 9 great warriors. I'm assuming the other 9 bosses have more, especially Kaiser's been around for 1,000 years. So I think there's a bit of a power level gap between each of the bosses, which is pretty cool. Like, I like that when we go in, a lot of people were wondering, and I was seeing a lot of people saying, like, so is Bomb going to 1v1 Kaiser? Is our whole team going to fight Kaiser to prove themselves? And I was saying, you know, Kaiser will probably have a lot of cool subordinates that we'll get to fight. This is even better than the idea of him having subordinates, because now we can have, like, a person or group from Bomb's allies fighting each of the 10 bosses, and I hope that happens. Like, for the 9 remaining bosses, if we get like Anak and Andrasi versus a boss, if we get Hatsu versus a boss, if we get, say, I'd love to see Akraptor, Misang, and Prince fight a boss, because I don't think we get to see enough of them, in my opinion. So I'd love if the 3 of them took on a boss, or even if one of them could solo a boss like Ron did. That'd be really cool, in my opinion. Even though I'm not sure how I feel about somebody being able to solo a boss, Bomb's team is pretty strong. It does have really strong members. So I think seeing any of them fight against the bosses would be really awesome fights, like this chapter's fight was. This one was really awesome, because Ron next, he goes into a little philosophy kind of speech about, you know, why do people need to steal names? Are you that unhappy with who you are that you have to steal other people's names? So he goes on about that, and he brings out the lightning pill. Almost said peel. Losing my words, but he brings out the lightning pill, which was really cool. Nice to see it again. Go Super Saiyan, you know, and goes in on Hesse. And they had a really awesome exchange with Ron throwing lightning bolts, him getting in close quarters and fighting. And it was a badass fight. The art was amazing. I loved this fight. I was so into it, very much so. And in the end, Ron is like, you know, none of my attacks work, so I've got to pull out the big guns. And thanks to I'm gonna give thanks to Kebron from his live reaction here for giving the Spanish version of it, the Grand Perla Electrica, because I don't know why they translated it as Grand Electric Pearl, because like all of the Kun family's moves up until this point have been in Spanish. That's sort of just a trait with the Kun family, so I don't want them to sort of end that. I like that they have the Spanish names to their attacks. I think it gives the series a bit more, it adds to it. It's a little bit of extra flair. So he uses the Grand Perla Electrica, and what I think, like the voice crack. Damn, talking too long without anything to drink in a while. But it's like there was a weird description in the translations, but I think the way I interpret it, and I could be wrong, is it couldn't have been a bunch of separate bongs of Shinsu, or bangs of Shinsu, however you would pronounce it. I usually use the ah sound since it's Korean, and I think they use that more than the a sound for an A. But the bongs of Shinsu, I don't think it was multiple ones from the description and how it looked, because we know having that many would be super rare. I think from the description that it is one bong, but he keeps on, instead of building Shinsu for one bong, he builds Shinsu for multiple ones inside of one. So he just keeps building one and filling one with more and more Shinsu. I guess increasing, what's it called, the mu, or the, I don't remember the terms because they're not used that often other than bong. It's like mu and son or something like that. I forget what the third one is. But one of them is like the density of the Shinsu. He like keeps increasing the amount of Shinsu in the bong, the size of it, rather than having one or having multiple weaker ones. He just grabs one and pumps so much Shinsu in it that it's one massive attack. And Novik says, that Ron has been training, of course, and that he's trained ever since, like, he was a scrub lord at Revolution Road. Not Novik's words, but kind of how it went. He was a scrub lord there. He got completely made... He looked like a punk compared to Daniel, compared to Beta, compared to the Muradic Guardian, compared to Moontari especially. He looked like a punk. And of course, Elliot wrecked Moontari. Even though I loved Moontari, he was super cool. Elliot wrecked him, so that means Elliot is leagues and leagues above Revolution Road Ron, and I don't think he's trained that much, so I'm still in the camp of Elliot's better than Ron. In fact, I'm in the camp that says Novik's better than Ron. Ron is talented and has a lot of power, but I personally think Novik is more level-headed and maybe smarter in battle, I guess. I'm just more a fan of Novik, really. But he uses the Gran Perla Electrica to use his big, I guess this is his biggest move that he has, so it's kind of cool that we're seeing it, and that is his Grande Espada de la Luz. And we've seen him use the Espada de la Luz at least like twice before, and at least like twice, because I'm pretty certain, nearly completely certain, that he used it in his fight with Anak during the Battle X Gamble, and I'm damn near 100% certain he used it at the Hand of Arlen during the Devil's Right Arm arc, which, again, one of my favorite arcs. I freaking love that one. But I'm pretty sure he uses it. I don't remember if it's when I think it's when he's fighting Bomb that he uses the Espada de la Luz, and we see it for the first time. But I like that we see it again here, and we see how much he's progressed by it being such a bigger, badder version. And that's essentially all it is a way more hyped up, powerful version. It's the Espada de la Luz that he used before, only add the electric pill into it, and then add the Gran Perla Electrica into that. So it's just got a bunch of power-ups that he has added upon his base attack, which I thought was awesome. It's not something new and off the wall. It's an improvement of what we already knew of the character's powers. So I think it's good writing in that aspect, and it looked badass. It seemed to have disintegrated Hesse. It looked like he was disintegrated to me. But he may have just been knocked back into that bridge platform. It's hard to tell, but it doesn't look like he's there at all. So I'm going to say that since he was dirt, that I personally think he was disintegrated, and I don't think we'll be seeing Hesse back again. So ending the chapter off, we do see Ship and Andrasi again, and we can see it looks to be Anak, Hatsu, and Lorei in the background. So I guess it is just the 5 of them. We haven't seen anything of Amigo Chas, Vespa, or Verdi, so I'm going to guess that those 3 maybe aren't with them anymore for whatever reason, which again isn't too huge a complaint. Amiga Chaz isn't that popular a character. I'm not that attached to him even though he was in the original group. And Vespa and Verdi, I always sort of disliked them because I would have much rather seen characters from Volume 1 like Sunwoo Nare or Chunwa. I would have much rather seen them, or Levin. I would have rather seen them brought back than to see Vespa and Verdi added in. So I've always kind of been salty towards those two. So and then after that scene, the very end, we get to see, even though we don't get to see it very well, we get to see Kaiser and one of his subordinates. Now, of course, we can't make out much about them. Kaiser looks like he either has he's gold with some sort of silver mask, or maybe it's just a silver and gold mask, or that his skin is silver and he has like golden tattoos around his eyes. So either way, it looks pretty badass. With the hair and everything, I was thinking, what if Kaiser is a woman? Like, Kaiser could be a woman. I think it's probably a guy, though. But, I don't know. Kaiser looks cool. I'm feeling the Kaiser hype. I really hope when the train shows up that just the bosses are there, like, waiting for everybody to get off the train and we just go straight into the fight. It'd be cool if they did it another way, but if they did it that way, just jump straight into it, I think it'd be pretty exciting, honestly. It might not be the best that they could do story-wise, but it'd be exciting. So for this week's chapter, I've got to say the fight was absolutely amazing. I completely loved it. The only thing about it, and the art was amazing for it, the art was really good this week. The only thing I can say is that I am a tiny bit apprehensive about having one of Bomb's allies able to solo a 10 boss. Now, that, again, I'm a little bit apprehensive, but it's not like I dislike it, because thinking about it, Ron is a strong ally. He's probably one of the stronger guys that Bomb has following him, even though at this point, after all the things that have happened in the previous arcs, Bomb has a really powerful team. He really does have a lot of special snowflakes. He has a lot of really cool characters. But even among them, Ron is super talented. He's got a lot of power. Maybe not the most combat experience. Maybe not the most skill with the power. Even though he is pretty skilled. Definitely not the most endurance. But he has a lot of raw power. A lot of raw Shinsu strength. Which is cool. And it sort of balances it out to where I think he could 1v1 one of the 10 bosses. Because it seems like he's one of the stronger allies. And Hesse is definitely the weakest boss, in my opinion. Because of the way he talked, I would be surprised if he isn't the weakest. Because he made it seem like he's the only one without a name from the 10 families. And of course, he ran straight there to the gate as soon as some new names arrived. Which leads me to think that he's one of the weaker bosses. So honestly, that's it. I'm looking forward to way more boss battles. And I'm going to give this one 8.5 dirt men out of 10 because I thought this one was maybe not quite as good as last chapter because I don't really think we saw as many characters do as many things. But the fight was amazing and it was definitely way above average. This was a great chapter, just not close to like perfect, not as good as some of the Dollar Show chapters were or stuff like that. But either way, great. I'm loving this arc. I can't wait to see where they go with it. Like, this arc is probably the one I think I might even be more hyped going into this than I was going into the Dollar Show. Even though the Dollar Show turned out so great, I wasn't completely like hyped at first going into it. This, I'm prepared for like boss battles with the 9 bosses, and I'm prepared for them to be like really awesome fights. I'm prepared for us to go on a really cool adventure at the station. It's an awesome setting that I personally like. So, and it gives us a little bit of break because we've been on the train, like a little bit of a break because we've been on the train for a while. This lets us do some stuff off the train, and it gives us a little bit of a refresher before going back into the train. So there's a lot of good things that this arc does for the story, I feel. It really helps us instead of just... it helps us split up the Hell Train saga a bit so that it doesn't seem like we're doing the same thing over and over again against Rachel's team. So, yeah. I guess I should stop talking about how much I love this arc and just say the chapter was 8.5 out of 10, so I loved it. And, I want to say like if you guys liked this video, and comment down there and tell me what you thought of my review, my thoughts, what you thought of the chapter itself, because this was an interesting one. I've seen a lot of people on both sides saying things that they did and didn't like about it. It definitely has things to like and some things to maybe be a little bit apprehensive about, in my opinion. So it's good in that way. It creates some discussion for us all. Subscribe for more Tower of God, One Piece, The Walking Dead, and more. If you're interested, just check out the channel and subscribe. Also follow on Twitter if you're interested in that, because I'll try to keep you updated as best I can there on when I'm posting things or pushing things back. Thank you once again for watching so very much, and I will see you all next time.